In our introduction to the book of Ecclesiastes, we talked about the word vanity and how at root the word vanity means breath or wind, and it invites a whole lot from understanding it as a figure of speech. And so I thought we'd spend a little bit of time today talking about Hebel, about wind, as it appears in the other books of wisdom like Job or Proverbs. And then we'll see how the idea of wind adds to our discussion of what Kohelet, what Solomon is looking for, something that is more firm, something more established, something beyond what is under the sun, to grab a hold of and to hold and to treasure. So that's what we'll look at. So let's talk a little bit about wind as it appears in some of the other wisdom books. For example, here is our discussion, our verses from the book of Job. Do you think that you can reprove words when the speech of a despairing man is wind? Watch the words that appear around these verses so you'll get a full sense of what it means to strive after the wind. So here Job is saying he's like a despairing man. His voice goes up and it's so fleeting, it's so ephemeral that it just disappears into nothingness. So why would you spend time reproving words from a despairing man? They just evaporate. Or he says in Job chapter 8, how long will you say these things? And the words of your mouth would be a great wind, boisterous, but nothing of substance. And then in Job 15, we have, should a wise man answer with, and I like this, windy knowledge. Oh man, if only we could have a mighty wind blow through and blow off the windy knowledge and give us knowledge that is firm, knowledge that is substantial. So I like that phrase a lot. Here's the verse from Job 15. Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? In other words, we are made for more than this. We are made for something more substantial, something more firm, something eternal. So that is from the book of Job. Let's look at a couple of verses from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 11:29 says, whoever troubles his own household will inherit the wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise of heart. So again, here we have somebody who would, by his own hands, sin against his own household, cause them trouble, and as a result, what will come down to him will slip straight through his fingers. So there will be no encouragement, no inheritance, nothing but wind coming as a result of his bringing trouble on his own household. Then we have the verse in Proverbs 27 that talks about a quarrelsome wife, and it says, to restrain her is to restrain the wind. In other words, you can't. If the wind is coming at you, push back as you might. I love to take long walks during windy fall days, precisely because of that. The wind comes and blows, and my hair blows back, and my jacket, but I can't restrain the wind. I can't stop it. It just blows through and leaves you empty. So the idea of what we have is that wind is something that just slips through our fingers. And so we hold on to it as tightly as we can, but there's nothing to hold on to. It all slips away. Here are the verses then that striving after the wind appears in conjunction with all is vanity. So we have several verses. I'll quote one. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, it is all vanity and a striving after wind. So it means it's all nothingness. It is all meaningless. It will all slip through your fingers, and the more you try to grab a hold, the more it slips away. And I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is but a striving after wind. Again, the author is talking about wisdom under the sun, trying to know what is good and right to do, and it is pursuing it, and it slips through your fingers unless you have something to anchor it to. And of course, that's the whole point of the fear of the Lord, is the beginning of knowledge, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Then I considered that all my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, everything was vanity, and a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So we'll talk more about under the sun. We see it again. It is better to have one handful of quietness than two handfuls full of toil and a striving after wind. In other words, can you see it? We're expending so much time, so much energy, so much exertion to try to grab a hold of something that's good and true and real. And what do we get? We get nothing. It slips right through our fingers and leaves no constant, it's gone. There was no end of all the people of whom this young man led. Yet those who came later did not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and a striving after wind. The striving sounds a lot like toiling for the wind in this verse. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he came, so shall he go. And what gain is there to him who toils for the wind? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. Oh, I love the word picture. I may not be able to define it exactly so. Hebel comes closest, but I don't know how to define Hebel. But I can feel the picture, and deep down, I know there's got to be something more. There's got to be something real, because under the sun, everything is going to slip through my fingers. So here are the phrases that we have. We have him toiling, striving, grasping after what matters, and it slips through his fingers. It is vanity. There is nothing, the preacher says, nothing to be gained under the sun. And if you remember from our lecture on the introduction to the book of Ecclesiastes, under the sun is key. He's like taking marbles. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to play marbles, and we had Puries, and we had Cat's Eyes, and we had Boulders, and we had Steelies, and we would play, and we would try to win others, and we valued those marbles. But I bet if I found that bag of marbles now, the glass was chipped because of how much we played with them. It would be empty. All the things that I had valued would be empty. Under the sun, all of my glass marbles are broken. They're lost. They've slipped through my fingers. They don't have any staying power. But suppose that in the middle of all those marbles, I found a pearl of great price. Um, that would still be valuable. That would still be untouched and pure, and I would hold on to that and value it if I lost everything else. The idea of under the sun is let all those things go. Let goods and kindred go. This mortal life also, the body they may kill, but his truth triumphs still, and his kingdom is forever. Don't get caught up in the wind. We'll talk again. Thanks for listening.